After Kuma landed one of the most iconic punches in anime history right to Saturn's face, the sneaky Gorosei decided to pull out the big guns. He called in a full-on Buster call to make Egghead Island disappear from the map. Back in Egghead, Bonnie's absolutely wrecked after leaving that secret room. She tells Vegapunk she saw all of Kuma's memory. The old man's all sad because he broke the promise he made to her dad. Just minutes ago, Bonnie was ready to rip the old man's head off, but now she's back to her child form, giving the old man a hug and apologizing. Then, that big mouth of hers asks him to hold out his hand, handing over Kuma's 10-year anniversary gift. It's a sapphire necklace shaped like the sun. Bonnie's pumped because it reminds her of her hero, and Kuma's hero, Nika, the sun god. The old man's like, who would have thought that kid would turn into this? Bonnie asks if Luffy's the son of Kuma's best friend, and Vegapunk says even he was surprised when those two showed up together. Then he tells her everything that happened while she was going through Kuma's memories. A lot went down, right? I mean, she spent like 6 episodes watching that stuff. But finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. We're back to the present where the action is hotter than a barbecue on a summer day, my friend. Bonnie's literally in Saturn's palm, saying it's all his fault. He's the one who made her dad suffer and lose his humanity. The soldiers point their guns at her, and Sanji's pissed because he's stuck. It's not just him. The other 2 weaklings are frozen too. Meanwhile, Luffy's about to pass out asking for food. Please, just a little piece of meat. Atlas says she would get him some but can't move because of the Gorosei's power. The Marines report that they've captured Vegapunk's bodyguard, and poor Sentomaru, aka Big Mac, got beat up before being captured. Kizaru's also face down on the ground, totally immobilized. Looking straight into Bonnie's eyes, Saturn says her dad is dead. He already became a statistic. The Marine HQ wants to know what's happening, but the regular soldiers have no clue. Only the Commodore level can enter the island. Over in frozen Let It Go land, people are reading the news and can't believe the new Yonkou has Vegapunk hostage. They're saying there's no way this ends without some blood being spilled. In another country, they're saying Egghead is even more surrounded than Ohara was, and they're wondering if Dr. Vegapunk is okay. Back at the Revolutionary Army base, Dragon asks where Kuma would go if he had any control over his body. The Funko Pop head guy says if it were him, he'd attack Mary Joie without hesitation. But Kuma? Nah, he'd go somewhere else. Saturn says it's time for Bonnie to meet her dad in the afterlife. The soldiers get ready to fire, and everyone's freaking out. But Bonnie tells him to screw off and says if she's going down, she's taking him with her. She uses a distorted future of Nika. Saturn can't believe his ears when he hears it. He's even more shocked when those giant arms land right in his face. And even more shocked when Bonnie's attack fails and doesn't even tickle him. The bastard starts squeezing her harder, saying she only knows Nika's name because she's Kuma's daughter, but she has no clue what Nika really is. He says she still hasn't connected Nika with the white version of the Straw Hat Pirates and calls her dumb as a rock. Meanwhile, Luffy's stuffing his face with Happy Meal toy, eating the toy that comes with the meal. Saturn asks who gave him food, and the soldiers are like, not us. So that crusty geezer ordered them to slap some sea stone cuffs on Luffy as soon as possible. Up above, Bonnie was trying everything, but she could not even change the Gorosei's age. And the old demon just laughed, saying she could not touch him because he was the one who gave her that power in the first place. The shock hit her so hard her nose started bleeding like she just read the plot of Attack on Titan. He explains it was all just a little science fair project. They tested if they could give a devil fruit power to a literal baby using fruit extract. Turns out, the age fruit was a hit, but totally useless in his opinion. What really matters, he says, is the power to transform into any possible future version of herself. Then this crusty lizard starts mocking her for believing Nika is real. But Bonnie snaps, screaming that he is real. She's been searching for Nika ever since her dad got turned into a walking USB drive. But Saturn says her being this weak only proves she is starting to doubt Nika exists at all. Her dad also believed in that fairy tale one, even said he wanted to save people like Nika. And as if that was not evil enough, this guy casually drops that he did drug experiments on her mother too. Bonnie's heart is beating like it is about to call it quits. Then suddenly, boom! A meteor crashes onto the island, blowing everything up like the season finale of an action anime. Bonnie keeps crying, saying all of this is Saturn's fault. Vegapunk loses it and asks if all this pain was really just one of his sick experiments. The old man cannot believe Saturn had the nerve to offer Kuma a deal to save his daughter, as if he was not the one who caused all of it in the first place. But Saturn, full of himself as always, tells Vegapunk to walk a mile in his boots. Would he care about the emotions of bugs? Trash has no rights in his eye. He stomps the ground like a toddler having a tantrum and says, garbage is not worth sympathy. Meanwhile, that meteor? It was Daddy of the Year landing in style. The Marines are panicking. Was that a pacifista? But nope, this one has bear paws. That was the real Bartholomew Kuma. He blasts a Kamehameha that deletes a whole building like it owed him money. A soldier screams that the southeast coast of Egghead is under attack by ex-warlord Kuma. Everyone is losing their minds, and Vegapunk asks what Kuma is doing here. Saturn, the cocky lizard that he is, says there is nothing to worry about. Kuma cannot possibly be there. Yeah, okay, keep telling yourself that, Cupcake. This Gorosei goon is about to meet the real definition of fear. Bonnie is so scared, she cannot even hear what anyone is saying. Doberman orders everyone to open fire to stop Kuma from reaching the center of the island. They launch cannonballs straight into his back, but the dude does not stop. He is marching like a tank, ignoring bullets like they are mosquito bites. He nearly falls, but then he hears Bonnie crying, and suddenly he finds strength in places he did not even know existed. He starts body slamming everyone in his path like a one-man demolition squad. Saturn, annoyed that she is still alive, decides to finish Bonnie off for good. He tells the Marines to aim straight for her chest, while the others scream at them to stop. But just in time, Kuma arrives like a bear-shaped angel of death, blasting anyone who points a weapon at his daughter. Saturn tosses Bonnie to the ground like yesterday's leftovers. She sobs, saying even after all that, she is still going to die. She apologizes for not being strong enough. Then Saturn winds up his leg for the big stomp, but Kuma slides in like a linebacker and takes the hit straight to the back to protect Bonnie. She is crying her eyes out, not sure whether to scream or hug him. Saturn cannot believe what he is seeing. He rips Kuma's claws off and blasts him again, but the bear grabs the shot mid-air, and the impact makes Saturn drop his cane like an old man tripping over a Lego. He asks Vegapunk how this is even possible. Kuma was supposed to be dead. Kuma glares at him and remembers every single moment of pain. His entire family enslaved, everything he loved taken from him, but he is still alive, still standing, still fighting for the one person he can still protect. Saturn says he should be scrap metal. After all, when the Revolutionary Army rescued him, they activated his self-destruct protocol. But look at him now, alive and kicking. And with all that pain built up inside, he throws one punch. One punch fueled by every ounce of rage he's carried for decades. And that hit sends Saturn flying like he just got launched out of the One Piece universe. Everyone is stunned. Bonnie is sobbing. Kuma's punch was so strong, it sent Saturn flying and knocked down a bunch of buildings. They came crashing down on that fool, squashing him like a pancake. The crew was absolutely stunned, unable to believe their eyes. And the Marines were just as shocked because he literally just punched one of the most powerful authorities in the world. This punch made Luffy's smack on the Celestial Dragon look like child's play. After that, Kuma collapsed to his knees, and the soldiers rushed to rescue Saturn. Bonnie kept crying, but the Straw Hats could finally move again. They rushed to take Bonnie, but Sanji told them to stop, because even though Kuma was all stiff, he managed to move just enough to get to his daughter. But the worst part was when Sanji realized the FBI could be knocking on his door any moment now, because now he knew Bonnie was actually a kid. Kuma hugged her, and Frankie was out here competing with the girl to see who could cry more. Vegapunk was completely lost because he had installed a self-destruct device on Kuma, and once the switch was flipped, he should have been completely immobilized like a vegetable, and even science couldn't explain it. He says it's not physical strength that makes pirates special. Meanwhile, Kizaru was finally getting back on his feet, and Sentomaru, all battered up, was happy Kuma made it. But the soldiers were freaking out because they couldn't find Luffy anywhere. They didn't know how to report that he just dipped. After that, Kuma was completely powered down, and Bonnie thanked him for everything he did. She knew everything because she saw his memory, all the happy and sad moments he lived. With a waterfall of tears in her eyes, she said how happy she was to see him again. She said her mother was an incredible woman. She supported him all the way and would throw hands with anyone who messed with him. He was a bit of a doofus for rejecting Ginny when she asked him to marry her, but she knew it was all for her own good. And now Bonnie knew that Kuma never stopped thinking about her for a second. She also knew he wrote her several letters. They never arrived because of that rat Alpha. He wrote about everything he did while traveling the world and how impressed he was with Dr. Vegapunk's inventions. He couldn't wait to go on an adventure with her. The girl hugged him, saying that even though everyone calls him a tyrant, he's the kindest person in the world, and she promised she'd never forget that. Meanwhile, the Marines were still trying to dig up Saturn. He started releasing such monstrous energy that it sent everyone flying. The crew was in shock because they thought the Gorosei was a goner, ready to be printed on a t-shirt. But then Saturn crawled out in his Spider-Man form and landed like a Marvel hero. But let's be real, this old man was no hero. His arm got ripped off, and even that fool couldn't regenerate anymore. He asks Vegapunk if it was him who did this, but the old man says it was the power of love. The horned guy says this is just a mistake and starts regenerating again. His horn gets all shiny and his arm is good as new. The backyard chef asks how his body regenerated so fast. Now that the Gorosei was all good, he says he doesn't need Kuma anymore and starts throwing his claws at him again. But Sanji comes in with a kick to stop that old bearded dude. Frankie shouts that Kuma helped them out a bunch of times. He then readies a laser beam to blow that bum away. But Kizaru stands up and says they've really grown. The giant robot stabs Saturn and tells him to go to hell. But Borsalino pops up behind him, saying, "Show me how strong you've got," and kicks him right in the face, sending him to the ground like a pigeon turd. Bonnie says Kuma isn't moving, and Vegapunk tells Atlas to carry him to the lab. She carries him on her back, and Applehead says he'll take care of Saturn. They should focus on Bonnie and Kuma. Kizaru asks if they're going to let them escape, but Saturn doesn't care. Vegapunk calls him a coward because he doesn't have the guts to finish him off. He even calls him Borsalino and remembers when they used to have fun as best friends. On the ship, Doberman listens to Saturn's order to punish those who defy the world government. In other words, he's calling in a full-on Buster call. This island was deemed a threat to the government, and it's about to get a destruction call to wipe everything out. But this time, they wouldn't have to wait for the ships to arrive because they were already surrounding Egghead. They were ready to burn the entire island to the ground with not even a single soul left alive. Vegapunk freaks out when he hears the Buster call. Saturn says that those who study the world's secrets, those who carry the blood of a lost race, and those who awakened an ancient god must be completely obliterated. In the next episode, the entire island will fall into panic because of the Buster call. Vegapunk will try to convince Saturn to stop because this island is too important for the future of the world. But, of course, the jerk will ignore him and set fire to everything without a second thought. The title of the next episode is Destroy Egghead. The call of destruction is invoked. Man, things are about to get intense, because the Straw Hats and Vegapunks are going to have to risk their lives to escape this island, which is about to turn into a real hell. If you want me to bring the next episode as soon as it drops, drop a One Piece 1138, so YouTube spreads this masterpiece to as many people as possible. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can hit 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. Also, check out the next video on the screen. It's insane. I'll be out. Thanks and peace.